They were comfortable with the version of you that stayed quiet, the version that apologized, the version that explained everything, the version that said yes while everything inside screamed no. That version is gone, and some people are going to hate you for it. Not because you hurt them, not because you betrayed them, not because you became cruel, because you stopped shrinking. You stopped making yourself smaller so weak people could feel bigger. You stopped apologizing for having standards. You stopped explaining boundaries to people committed to crossing them. You stopped begging to be understood by people who benefited from misunderstanding you, and now they feel something changing. Good. Let them feel it. Their discomfort is not your emergency. Their disappointment is not your command. Their opinion is not your prison. You spend enough time managing everybody else's emotions. Now manage yourself. Control your reactions. Control your mouth. Control your impulses. Control your need to be accepted. That is where your power begins. Because the moment you stop needing everyone to understand you, you become dangerous to every expectation built around your weakness. They knew the old you, the agreeable you, the available you, the forgiving you, the version that absorbed disrespect and called it patience. They thought your silence meant submission. They thought your kindness meant unlimited access. They thought your patience meant they could keep pushing. They were wrong. You were never weak. You were undisciplined with your boundaries. Now that changes. You don't need to announce it. You don't need a speech. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove that you've changed. Move differently. That's enough. When they expect an explanation, give them silence. When they expect another apology, give them nothing. When they expect you to bend, stand still. When they expect the old reaction, give them a calm they cannot manipulate. That's how you take your power back. Not through noise, through consistency. Some people will test you. They'll ask again after you already said no. They'll push harder. They'll provoke you. They'll make your boundary feel like an insult. Don't take the bait. Your first answer was enough. No means no. Not this time means not this time. I can't means I can't. You don't owe a courtroom defense for every decision you make. Stop putting your boundaries on trial and watch carefully. Because the way someone reacts when you become harder to manipulate tells you everything you need to know about them. A healthy person adjusts. A manipulator escalates. A mature person respects the boundary. An entitled person searches for the weakness in it. Pay attention. Don't argue with the evidence. Some people loved your kindness because it benefited them. Some loved your silence because it protected them from accountability. Some loved your availability because they could access you whenever they wanted. And some loved you only when you were smaller than them. Now you're becoming harder to control. That's why the energy changes. That's why the conversations change. That's why certain people suddenly accuse you of being different. Of course you're different. That's the entire point. You were supposed to evolve. You were supposed to outgrow the version of yourself that tolerated what you should have rejected. You were supposed to become harder to break, and you were supposed to stop confusing guilt with responsibility. Read that again in your mind. Guilt does not automatically mean you did something wrong. Sometimes guilt is just the residue of an old habit. You trained yourself to keep everyone comfortable. Now you're training yourself to keep your standards. Of course, it feels uncomfortable. Discipline always feels uncomfortable before it becomes natural. Hold the line anyway. Because every time you surrender your boundary just to end someone's discomfort, you teach them that pressure works. You teach them that persistence defeats your decisions. You teach them that your no is temporary. Never teach people that lesson. If you say no, mean it. If you walk away, stay gone. If you set the standard, live by it. If someone disrespects you repeatedly, stop giving them unlimited access to you. No announcement required, no dramatic confrontation required. Distance is a language. Silence is a language. Consistency is a language. And sometimes the strongest message you can send is simply refusing to participate in the same cycle again. You don't need to destroy your enemies. You need to destroy the version of yourself they could manipulate. Destroy the hesitation. Destroy the need for approval. Destroy the reflex to explain. Destroy the addiction to being liked. Destroy the habit of abandoning yourself just to keep someone else comfortable. That's the real battle. Not them. You. The part of you that still wants to run back the moment tension appears. The The part that wants to apologize just because someone is disappointed, the part that wants to shrink because standing tall makes insecure people uncomfortable. Kill that habit, replace it with discipline. Replace it with standards. Replace it with self-respect. And understand this. You are not responsible for protecting people from the consequences of encountering the real you. You are responsible for your behavior, your integrity, your choices, your actions. That's it. If you cause genuine harm, own it, correct it. Apologize when an apology is deserved, but never apologize for existing at full strength. Never apologize for growing. Never apologize for having standards. Never apologize for protecting your peace. Never apologize for becoming someone you can respect. Some people will leave. Let them. Some will complain. Let them. Some will call you cold. Let them. Some will say you've changed. Smile. They're right. You changed because staying the same was destroying you. And now comes the hardest part, consistency. Because eventually someone will push the right button. They'll bring back an old memory. They'll use an old tactic. They'll say the exact thing they know used to make you fold. This is where you prove the transformation is real. Don't react. Don't explain. Don't collapse. Don't become the person they remember. Stay calm. Stay controlled. Stay disciplined. Let them discover that the old access is gone. Let them discover that the old manipulation no longer works. Let them discover that the version of you they controlled no longer exists. You don't need to convince them. Your behavior will do it for you. One day the resistance will stop. Not because they suddenly understand you, because they finally understand that you are not moving. That is the power of consistency. You don't fight every battle. You become impossible to drag back into the old one. So stop preparing apologies for becoming stronger. Stop rehearsing explanations for people who don't respect your decisions. Stop shrinking so other people can remain comfortable. Stand where you are. Hold the line. Build in silence. Let your discipline speak. Let your results speak. Let your absence speak. Let the person you become the answer to every person who doubted you. You don't need revenge. You need elevation. You don't need their approval. You need control. You don't need to destroy them. You need to become so disciplined that their attempts to destroy you become irrelevant. They can misunderstand you. They can judge you. They can talk. They can leave. Let them. You are no longer responsible for making yourself smaller enough to fit inside someone else's comfort zone. You have spent enough time surviving as a smaller version of yourself. Now become the version they never thought you'd have the discipline to become. And when they finally realize they lost access to the old you, don't explain, don't celebrate, don't look back, keep moving. Because the strongest revenge is not making them suffer. It's becoming someone they can no longer reach. The old you needed permission. The new you needs discipline. And the next version of you needs nothing from them.